Hello, everybody. I am so excited for you to be with us today. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, y'all. This is going to be such an awesome show, awesome day. If you are catching us live right now, even if you catching a replay, I need you to go ahead and like and share and like. And most of all, subscribe to our YouTube channel on Conversations Deborah Franklin. Go on over there and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'm excited to have you here with us because we are going to be talking about a topic that I never thought that I would still be talking about at 55. I'm going to tell my age, honey. I'm 55 and I'm talking about dating. I was like, are you kidding me? I would have never thought. Well, honestly, because I never really talked about it, even when I was younger. I never really talked about dating. I never really talked about that whole thing because I don't think I was ready for a relationship. I was so focused on going to school, doing the things. You know, I had male friends, but that's just what they were. They were my friends. We never really, it wasn't like, I don't know, how can I say it? It was like sometimes it was a spark, sometimes it wasn't. And then we just always put each other in our friend zone. So, you know, sometimes it just felt more comfortable, I guess, in the friend zone. But, you know, I'm so excited about today because I'm not saying that I'm not dating. I'm not saying that I'm not looking for love. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that I am intentionally and purposefully putting myself out there and making sure that I'm not overlooking, because like one of our guests tonight told me, Deborah, you got to learn how to flirt. You got to flirt a little. I'm like, child, I'll be done started batting my eyelashes and they'll be done got stuck together. And I'm talking about, huh? And they'll think I got something wrong with me. So, you know, those things. And then on the other side of that, is like, I'm getting ready to ask you questions that I'm getting ready to put out there because I literally had to go through this. It's like, yes, I'm open for love, but am I open to talking to my girlfriends and telling them, hey, y'all know somebody that y'all can hook a sister up with, and be serious about it. And, you know, and then just opening myself up to, I guess what they said, you know, because the Bible tells us he that findeth. But the thing is, have I been putting myself out there to be found? Yeah, because see, I am a introvert. A lot of people don't believe that. I am an introvert. And yes, I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies, but I'm okay with staying at home. I'm okay with throwing on a movie and just sitting in the house with my good PJs on watching a movie. I'm okay with going to the grocery store, coming back. And I'm doing better with even going to the grocery store because normally I would just go ahead and do Uber Eats, Walmart deliver, because then that meant that I didn't have to get out and be around people. But then I started to remember what God says, that we have got to start getting out, and you know I'm summing this up, and being out there doing things so people can see us and people can get with us and do certain things. And so that's what we have to look at, is that we have got to be open to what we're doing, because we have to be intentional about this thing. We got to be intentional about this thing called dating. And I'm finding it out that it's harder than I thought, y'all. And it's like we hide behind. But one thing that I want to share, and if we get nothing else out of this, is that I want you to remember, figure out who you are. Figure out who you are and stop being an avatar, because that was something I had to learn, because I got caught up in who people expected me to be, how people thought I should dress, how people thought I should talk, how people thought my opinion should be. And that also leads me to some of those same themes that I wrote about in my novel that released. And I know that was a guilty plug, with Church Girl After Dark, because so many times when you are labeled a church girl, you are expected to be a certain kind of way, even if you're not. And that's what I want us to start to think about as we move forward in this thing called dating. And, you know, how are we going to pull those layers off and open ourselves up to be genuine, open ourselves up and not be afraid to show who we are, not be afraid to have those hard conversations, not be afraid of saying exactly what you want, not being afraid of being able to say, this is who I am, this is what I expect. And if you can't then okay. Because I also had to thank God too for delivering me from thinking that I could only be with a certain type, or that I had to go overboard to keep it. I'm gonna leave that right there. So I want you to know, I want you to think about it. I want you to show back up for us. I want you to do all the things, because we are getting ready to launch out in our conversation about dating in 2026. I've got some guests today that are gonna set it on fire. So y'all, put your seatbelts on, because we getting ready to take off, and I don't want you to get knocked around and thrown around. I want you to be ready. And if you got any questions, make sure you're putting them in the chat, because we are ready to talk to you. We'll be right with you right after these messages.
She stands before them with grace, with strength, with unwavering faith. A pastor, a leader, a woman called to guide others through the light. But when the doors close and the night falls, she carries more than they will ever know. Every calling has a cost, every strength a shadow. She is not broken. She is not weak. She is human, navigating faith, desire, and truth. Because power doesn't come without struggle, and grace doesn't come without fire. Church Girl After Dark, a story of faith and the strength to face what lies beneath.
Well, hey y'all.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. RL, you are muted. Y'all, welcome to our guest for tonight. I have none other than Mr. Eric Bailey, and of course, our fearless leader, Miss RL Fleming. Y'all,
hey.
She is the best that ever did it. And I'm just gonna let everybody go around and just introduce yourselves and just tell us something about you. You know what? Tell us your name, where you from, and an interesting fact. I like those. Yeah, let's go.
Ladies first.
Okay. Well, all of you know me from Sexy Single Shooting Shots and some other dating groups around Facebook. I am RL Fleming, and I just like helping people, heal and grow so that we can all find relationships, because I still do believe in love, although it's crazy out here in these dating streets. And I'm in Tennessee.
All right. My name is Eric Bailey. I was born, raised, and live in Los Angeles, California, though I try to travel as much as I can. I've been working in the transportation industry for about 15, this year actually makes 15 years now. I ended up, as I was saying earlier, stumbling on photography as a bit of a creative outlet to help me deal with a lot of stress and depression and anxiety throughout some pretty traumatic time during a traumatic time in my life. And I just happened to get really good at it. So, some people slip into some pretty dangerous vices when they deal with depression and stuff like that. I got really good with the camera. So I really love photography.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's nice. Awesome. And I don't think I introduced myself. My name is Deborah Franklin, for those of you that don't know. I am in Atlanta, and I am an author, an AI strategist, and also a coach. So I'm excited to be here. And my one interesting fact, y'all, this is my debut novel, and I never thought in a million years that I would write something like what I just wrote. So I did it. I stepped out and took a chance and did the doggone thing. So y'all ready to get started?
Sure.
Okay, looks like we got some people. Hey, y'all, as y'all are coming in, make sure you say hey, and most of all, tell us where you're from, what you're doing, why you're here, because we want you to be a part of this conversation. Because, hey, I just know it's gonna be fire. So, we said that we want to go ahead and just jump out there. How is dating going for you? I'll start with that one too, because that way I'm gonna let y'all have it, because y'all might be a little bit more interested in mine. Mine is 0. Mine is not great at all. I'm not saying that I have not gone on a date, but yeah. We not going to talk about it because I'm still confused from that date. All right, I'm gonna let y'all have it.
You can go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so I'll start things off. For me, it's interesting, and I remember I love starting off with things being interesting because I remember when I was a little kid, I remember hearing somebody say in a conversation, "If you don't have anything nice to say, just say it's interesting." Um, and for me, because I'm really not shy about, and I'm very transparent about my situation. So I've been divorced now for officially 2 years, but I've been separated for 4. I didn't automatically go back into dating. I've only been doing that for maybe about the last year and a half. And like I said, it's been interesting because when the expectation, like when you've already been married and you kind of already have this not necessarily expectation, but because an expectation is something that you think, but when you already have the experience of like that long-term relationship, when you already have the experience of being in a marriage, and then you go and try to go back to dating, um in my personal opinion and through my experience, it's a couple of steps backwards. So it's really hard for me to kind of fall back into the groove of, so what kind of flowers do you like? What's your favorite? You have to start asking those kind of questions again.
Mhm.
When you already kind of like know somebody, better than you know yourself, somebody like the back of your hand. And now all of a sudden you have to start asking the questions of like, what kind of foods do you like? So to
Right.
me, at my big age, it's like it's an adjustment. And then on top of that, I didn't really have a lot of experience with dating because the person I was married to was the person I met at a really young age. Like I
Mm,
met her at 20 and we split when I was 35. Yeah, when I was 35. So, and I'll be 39 next week. So, like I've only really had one serious relationship that led to marriage. So now going back into the dating world with not a lot of experience in dating in general, and then being out the game for so long, it's been interesting. But but the thing is, I don't like going into things and being conquered by them. I like taking on challenges and succeeding at that challenge.
Mhm.
I've never been one to stray from a fight,
mm,
so um I'm gonna keep doing it because like RL said, like, look, I believe in love,
Mhm.
even if love don't believe in me right now.
right.
Hey, that
Right.
part. So I am 52, and man, if I look back at my childhood and all the things I dreamed, I was not single. And so that's a hard pill to swallow as a professional woman. I've never been married. Yeah, I've been engaged a couple of times, but obviously that didn't work out. But, understanding that things are done differently now with all this digital world that we have at our fingertips. And so, yeah, I did the dating apps long, long time ago. That didn't work out. It just seemed like they weren't the right, type. But did I know what type I was really looking for? What were my standards? What were my boundaries? And so I didn't know. And now that I do, I'm just kind of going to be okay if I just have my dog and my children. It's okay because it's rough.
That's
It's
funny. Oh, that's
it's
funny.
it sounds like it's rough for that dog over there right now.
Yeah, anybody that walk past the door, and he not gonna do nothing but lick them and run
That's all
off.
right. Let him out that crate.
He not in a crate.
That is too funny. Too funny. Too funny. But you know what? Some of us feel like we are in a crate in this dating world. It's like we in the crate, and then when they finally let us out, we just go buck wild. It's like, how do we start to set the boundaries? Or what should those boundaries look like? Because so many times we start to feel like, are my boundaries too much? And this is why I won't nobody stay. How do we set these boundaries?
So I'm gonna always say, in order for you to fully set your boundaries, you have to heal first. And so while I may be setting some boundaries, but I haven't gone inward to really figure out who I am, then I'm gonna be like, oh, they're gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna do it anyway, even though that's my boundary. So healing first, I think, is the first step. But understanding and knowing what that boundary is and what that means to you in your life and how it may disrupt it or make it better depending on, what it is.
Okay. I really like how you said to make sure that you heal, because you definitely don't want to bring any type of you don't really want to bring any type of issues that you may have had previously into something in the future.
Right.
I'm going to say, but I am going to stray a little bit from what you said in terms of, because just in boundaries in general, I think that they should always be fluid. And one of the things that I think that dating at older ages is something that's relatively new, because the way things kind of worked out was, like you just, hey, look, like this person down the street, they ain't with nobody, I ain't with nobody, I ain't about to be alone. So like this whole concept of like dating into your older ages is still relatively new. It's only been around for maybe a generation, maybe two. And through all of the conversations that I've had, one of the things that gets neglected in the concept of dating when you're older is falling in love with somebody kind of requires that you be a little stupid. It requires that you be a little naive. It requires that you be, because, for people that, have been together for like 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you hear things like, oh man, I can't stand. I'm like, oh, when we moved in together and I found out he bite off his fingernails, I couldn't stand that. But, but I love him. Oh, I'm like, she chew with her mouth open. I didn't know that until we moved in with it, but I love her. So the fact that that's why I've never really focused too much on like the boundaries. They kind of need to be fluid and they need to be flexible, because you might set these really hard caps of saying, okay, I don't want a person that does X, Y, and Z, but those are only 3 letters of the alphabet. So they could do 23 other letters for you. But now because you're focusing on X, Y, and Z, and you set this really hard cap, now you're missing out on somebody that, you can spell a lot of words with 23 letters. Yeah. So I say that you kind of have to be a little naive, and you kind of have to take those chances that I think that, because when people are older in their lives, they're less resistant to change. They're kind of set in their ways. And sometimes you got to be a little more open, and you got to be a little more receptive to other people. Because, when you hear the situations of, like Pop and Nana been together for 40 years, and you hear them talk about each other, they love each other, but they also get on each other's nerves.
Yes. And what I'll say to that is, I'm going to change the word naive and say open-minded. You have to be open-minded, because you want to make sure, man, he's got to be 8 feet tall and she's got to be 6 feet. And well, your perfect match may be 5 feet, but you're going to overlook them because of their height. So just be open-minded to receive what is meant to bless you.
And you know what? I just gotta squeeze. I gotta shoehorn this in here. I did not feel short ever in my entire life until I had to get back into this dating market.
Wow.
And because at no point in time was I ever considered short until right now. And I'm 6'1", and I'm like, that is like, it was something that was never thought of until like, you only 6'1". I was like, the hell you mean only?
Right.
Like I said, I'm sitting there trying to put my shoulders up a little higher now. Like,
you need some lifts in your shoes.
Y'all see, that's why I'm growing the hair out. I'm like, oh, well, I'm 6'4".
So now you 6'1.5".
I'm 6'4" with the flat top.
So, and if we talk about height, so surely the goodness, that's not going to be what keeps you from your soulmate, your partner, your road dog, whatever you call that person. Because good grief, 6'1", and they're telling you you're short. I don't know who you talking to, but they don't know how to measure length. And 6'1" is really above average for a man. It is, Curtis. I think, Curtis, what are you, 6'3" or something? Anyway, but yes, we all, most women like taller men. I posted in the group, if y'all want to go back to it, what that looks like from a man's perspective, because I had never thought about it. But it's kind of like a childish reason to me that we love it, and not childish as in immature, but we like to look up at you. It just feels so good. So, well, if he 5 feet and you're 5'10", I guess you might have to get on your knees and look up. You just gotta figure it out.
Flats, baby. Just get you some flats.
You gotta figure it out.
Our last first lady, Michelle Obama, made it okay, brought the flats back. Now, Latanya says that's crazy. Somebody asked me if he was tall enough for me. I was like, what does your height have to do with it? And that's, to me, is a very healthy answer because you know, I know I had to swallow it because I'm only 5'4", almost 5'5", but I like to wear certain heels. So it's like, I don't want to tower over you, but then I look at my parents. My mom was a little taller than my dad. So if she put on her real shoes, she just stopped wearing them. At some point, she just stopped wearing them. And so that way they could be the same height. So, you know, it's what you do with it. Curtis said he's 6'7", so you shouldn't have the height issue.
I mean, but it's got to be hard being that tall. Like, my 12-year-old just hit 5'8", and he's towering over my older son, and we all looking at him like, oh, man, I don't know where this is going. He still got 4 years to go.
You know what? I'm reading Yanisha's question. Yeah, her comment, and I'm like, you know what? You can get those little what is it? Those little clamp things, little grabber things they have. So if y'all really need something off the top shelf, you know, like you can.
I mean, but you told
it's called a step ladder. I have one now because I live by myself. It's called a step ladder.
Or if the two of y'all together, one of y'all can give each other a boost.
Hey, Cayenne.
How else you gonna promote teamwork?
Exactly, Latanya. I mean, come on. And I'll tell you, when I was younger, so now at 52, I'm thinking, why was I thinking about those things? Because there's nobody, like the men in my family might reach 6 feet, might. My granddaddy was out of 5'9".
Yeah, see, I come from a tall family. I'm the run of the bunch. I'm 5'4.5", and everybody else is 6 and almost 5'10" and up. So I'm the short person. And Latanya says, I didn't care about his height. I care about how a person treats me. And I think that's a good segue from this height situation. What does that look like? What does that mean? How somebody treats you?
So my opinion of it is current dating has all of these certain tropes where you know, like I hate using the phrase because it makes me grind my teeth. High value man versus high value woman, so on and so forth, right? So there is this kind of like image that's set forward with it as to this is what is categorized and what makes a high value man as opposed to what makes a high value woman, so on and so forth. So and I say this all the time. Anytime I have a conversation, is I don't speak from the woman's perspective because I'm not a woman. I don't walk in my shoes as a woman, so I can't really speak on that perspective. I can only say what I say from the male's perspective. And from a male perspective, what is considered to be a high value man is like, okay, you make this amount of money, you are this height, you are this weight, you walk a certain way, you dress a certain way. So a lot of people think that if you fit those, if you check off all those vanity boxes, then because you're high value, you know, like you can treat somebody any kind of way, because I'm like, it's your pleasure to be here because I am what's attractive. I check off all these boxes. I'm 6'3". I make $160,000 a year. I drive this car. I live in this area. So that can kind of make that person think that, like I said, I'm like, you know, I'm doing you the favor by us being in this relationship. So that can mean that can make them treat people a certain way or not treat them a certain way.
But wait, I think I heard something wrong because I was focused on the car revving up.
Sorry about that.
And I don't know if I heard it wrong. I just want to ask. So you said you will not allow them in the relationship. What did you just say?
No, like when certain people feel like they check off all these boxes.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I'm this height, I make this much money, I drive this kind of car, then that person feels like I'm doing you a favor by
Mhm.
being in this relationship with you.
Mhm.
So because you feel like you're doing somebody a favor, I'm like, then it's like, oh, dude, I ain't got to do that shit for you. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know if we was. I
It's
didn't,
okay. It fit. Keep going.
my bad. I'm like, I don't know if we on a time delay. No, but yeah, like you end up with somebody if they feel like they check off all these boxes, and that's the main reason why I don't like those titles of high value man, high value woman, because they're very vain. And what ends up happening is if a person feels like they check off this box or they check off all these boxes, then they can just kind of walk around and quote unquote treat people however they want to treat, because it's like, again, I'm doing you the favor by giving you my time. And I don't obviously don't agree with that.
Yeah,
it is.
That's arrogance. And sometimes and that's where I really wanted us to go. Like, what does high value mean? Because at the end of the day, I feel like I'm bringing high value to the relationship. I'm educated. I have my own car. I got my own place. I don't bring children to the table. I feel like I'm high value, but yet and still I can be with somebody, same body type, same everything. I think I'm cool, but then you go for the one that ain't got nothing. You go for the woman that lets you, for lack of better say, let you just wipe their feet over them. It's like, what does that mean? How do we define it? And Diana said people equate high value with material possessions, and I think, yeah, I agree with that. But it's like,
should we?
But it shouldn't be. But so often, if he ain't driving this and he's gonna wear these kind of shoes, I ain't gonna deal with him. Like, are you kidding me? What are we doing?
So when I think of high value man or woman, it's a term that now, we wouldn't have normally have said that back in my day, because you were able-bodied or you weren't. Hey, let's go forward. But high value seems to became a quasi clickbait. It became an argument central, a platform that you could create around it, and you get all the conversation going with it. Same thing with submission, but let's not go there right now. But
we can.
But we talking about value.
Hey, I got a little bit of time. Let's go.
Because the reason why I'm saying that we can go with submission, because so many times people do equate submission to your value. And submissive, y'all, we getting okay. This is coming from the church sector. I'm gonna come from the church seat. Submission is not what y'all making it be. And submission is supposed to go both sides, not just one. It's supposed to be both sides. But I'm gonna let y'all handle that, and I'm gonna come on back. I'm gonna sit back and wait for this one.
Yeah. So when I think of a high value man, because when I first heard it, I think somebody said it was like he makes over 6 figures, he's in corporate America, and he's such and such height, da 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 da. And I thought to myself, no, I've been in them same rooms with them same men. Them some goofies. What you talking about? And that's the high value? I don't want it. And that's just because I had sat in the rooms with them same men. Like, I'd take the other man over there.
Right.
You don't got to make 6 figures. Has he got good sense though? Can he think through a problem? Can he lead? Whereas those at the time weren't leading a thing in the office. And so it was just kind of odd to see that that's how it was equated, but definitely started some conversations. Eric?
Yeah, like I think that all of this kind of circles back to the oversaturation of social media, because everything needs to be Instagrammable, everything needs to be a little snippet on TikTok, and everybody kind of presents their lives to each other in this digital format where they want everything to be perfect, they want everything to look a certain way, they want everything to be a soundbite to their life. So that's why this whole concept of high value is based on so much material as opposed to actual substance. At no point in time does anybody say that their value is equated to how well they listen, or how they communicate with each other, or how they treat people. You know, one of the things that I automatically equate to value when I start talking to somebody is what their educational level looks like, and not, you know, whether they went to college or, you know, whether they have degrees or anything like that. But, you know, do you read in your spare time? Because that's a real big thing. Because, you know, that was one of the things I had with that was one of the issues I had with my marriage is I'm actually really involved in politics. One of those topics that people run away from. I actually love engaging in it, respectfully, of course, but that's one of the things where people don't move forward unless you actually talk about it. So, are you educated? You know, like, do you want to have conversations? Because anybody can tell you, I'm a man. You know, like, I still, you know, want to do all the things that a man would traditionally want to do, but that only takes up so much of the relationship. So I'm like, you know, if you in a relationship with somebody, you know, if you want somebody in a relationship to be your best friend, y'all have to have common interests. Y'all have to be able. So this whole concept of, oh, I'm a high value woman because I have this, I check off all these boxes. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but how does that fit into my lifestyle? How does that fit into where you and I are talking to each other, or when you and I are hanging out with each other? Like I said, for me, it's a Saturday afternoon right now, so it's like we chilling at the house. You know, your degree doesn't really do much for me right now. The car sitting in the driveway is sitting in the driveway. It doesn't really do a lot for me now. So what type of substance do you have? What type of you know, conversations can you hold with me? What can I learn from you? What can you learn from me? What can we go out there and do together? You know, like, if we both like museums, shit, they open on Saturday, they open on Sunday, so let's go to a museum. If we both like photography, or if you're curious about photography, I got an extra camera, I could show you something. You know, if you're into creative writing and you want to show me a technique or two, okay, cool. So that to me has more value than just, you know, whatever type of car you drive or how you dress. So that's one of the reasons why I've never really, the way that quote unquote high value is defined, I've never really cared for.
Yeah, me either.
And I totally agree, because and back to your point about the education piece, what did we say? And then y'all don't think we forgot. We're gonna circle back around to the submission. But what do you say to men that use that as a scapegoat? Oh, you're just too smart for me. I can't meet you at your level. You know, I'm sorry, you got to speak for the men. And if there are any men in the chat, we want to hear from you, because a lot of times women of a certain age and of a certain degree that have the things that you're talking about, Eric, is like, we have those things, but then when we're with somebody and we're having these conversations, like, I don't mind talking about politics, I don't mind asking those questions, I don't mind talking about the latest books. Now, you will stump me at sports, but I got sense enough to know enough about it to where I can have a conversation about it. So it's like, what do we do when that comes up?
So you have to, and this is just my opinion. So I'm like, you know, whether people agree with it or not, full disclaimer, it's just through my own experience. A lot of it has to do with male ego. A lot of it has to do with the fact that there are some men that have a problem with women being smarter than them. And to me personally, like, you know, as somebody that is a byproduct of a single parent household, because I tell people this all the time, like, if I end up being half the person my mother was, I know I'd be a success, right? You know, I've always worked in places where women were in leadership. So I've never really had this issue where I'm dealing with a woman that may know more than me, that may make more money than me. That's something that I've always dealt with both in my professional and personal life. So it's never really something that's been an issue for me. Now, I think that when that is an issue, men can be intimidated by a woman that may make more than them, that may know something more than them, that may be the way that we measure success. that can be like a little off-putting at the fact that like they don't necessarily like that a woman that they have to deal with on an intimate level may have more things in them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's
Curtis,
also how we. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you come back, but Curtis, I need you to go ahead and put what you mean about this statement. No, ma'am. It's a little more than being too smart. So we want you to make sure you drop the rest of that comment so we can bring it back up for the panel to discuss.
So education. I think. Well, to me, I think it's bigger than education. So it's more about the bringing the bacon home. So how much money she's making and who she is in her world and how she stands in that could be a problem, which I'm gonna wait for Curtis to see what he's gonna say, because I've seen women use that against the man. They never settle into, I'm here to support and be a partner to this man and this family because this is ours, versus I got my 8 degrees and my 10 cars. Now what you gonna do?
Right.
And it's not, it should never be that, because at the end of the day, when we standing in the house, like you said, today's kind of a Saturday for you, what we doing together? Because surely we're not about to read this 800-page thing I got to do for work. I don't even want to do it. So what are we doing if we don't have things that mesh together that we can enjoy ourselves? Maybe it's music, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's hiking, whatever the things are. Do we have some things that we can do together so that we are spending quality time together?
I like that. So, you know, and then what does quality time look like? Because I think too, sometimes we put standards on stuff, because I'm gonna throw it out there. If she sleep with me on the first date, then I ain't going back. But then somebody else say, "Oh, we slept together on our first date, and we married and had 12 kids, and da 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 da." So where is this mindset? What is the mindset should we have when we're talking about even in that whole dating and getting to know each other phase? And then how long does that take?
So don't quote me as the religious one. I'm just gonna say you do what you feel. The minute you became grown, however you feel about that is what you should do. If you want to, do it. If you don't. I got into a whole church argument over the church lady's dress just last week.
Let's not.
No, we're not gonna go there. But my thought is, why do we care? That's her life and his life. That's over there. They go do that, and it don't affect me one way or the other.
And it wasn't, and it wasn't worn at church. And at the end of the day, it's all about how the light hit the dress, because I saw different pictures of the dress, and the lighting on the dress made the dress look different. But we're not going to go there either. But even though we
that
just
is basically, so my thought is always do what makes you feel good, because at the end of the day, you're the one got to stand there and answer for everything that you've done. So it should not matter, but we know it does. And insecurities lie in different places. And so those insecurities lead us to believe we can't do a thing or we shouldn't do a thing. I'm gonna tell you now, if I had sex with you on the first date, we ain't never been in no relationship, because I knew what I wanted and I moved along. That's what I do.
Oh, but that's when a woman thinks like a man. And 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry, I put it out there. 9 times out of 10, the man ain't gonna want to be with you no way, because you thinking like him. But anyway, that's maybe a little topic down the road. Okay, Eric, we done took it up. Let you go ahead and jump on in.
I would say, for context, I need to see what dress y'all was talking about.
Just
so I'm not in the loop.
I'm not gonna Google it because I don't want to be in no more arguments. But Deborah, can you send it to him at some point? I mean, it was a beautiful. So just think about
for research purposes, of course.
It was a beautiful dress, but that's how they're making a lot of the dresses, with that sheer lining.
And see, like I said, I'm unfamiliar with the sheer lining. So again, for research purposes, I'm going into just so I know what y'all talking about, so I'm not out the loop.
Okay.
That is too funny. That is too funny. I will find and post.
No, while she's finding that, go ahead, Eric.
No, but I think that what a lot of people need to do when they first meet, and as cliche as it may sound, people don't communicate their intentions on both sides. because as somebody that's trying to get back into the dating world, one of the things that I constantly hear is people don't want to waste, like people don't want their time wasted. And I understand that because, you know, time is the one resource. If I go out here and spend $500 I didn't have, I can go make that $500 back. But if I spend 2 weeks with somebody and it didn't go anywhere, I'm not getting them 2 weeks back. So I understand that time is the most finite resource that you have. It's the most valuable resource. But if that's the case, then I think people need to communicate their intentions right from the jump. So then that way, you know, okay, is this worth going on a second date? Is this worth going? Shit. Is this worth going on the first date? You know, because there are certain things that I think that there are certain conversations that should be had before y'all even meet or before y'all even go out, you know, that, you know, I think people keep kicking on down the road. And a lot of that disappointment comes from the fact that, like, you know, y'all could have just, you know, nipped a lot of this in bud if y'all just would have had that conversation a little early on.
And so I'm gonna add to that, but I'm gonna bring the submission into it. So if we're asking the questions and doing, as I call it, the vetting, we're vetting. I'm interviewing you, you interviewing me, however you want to look at it. But we should be asking those hard questions that we really are scared to ask because, oh, he might leave me. It's usually the woman that's, oh, I don't want to ask. He gonna leave me. So what? You just met him and it's okay. There's another him somewhere else, hopefully better than this one, if you decide that his answer doesn't equate to what you needed to for your life. And so if we're doing proper vetting as women, we're going to naturally submit to that man because it just is a natural thing. That's why when people get to talking about, you better submit to me. What you mean? You want to control and yell at me? We going to fight because I'm going to beat you all day long and not ask no questions because that's not what we're doing over here. But in that process, so let's consider it a checklist of sorts. You got a whole checklist you're trying to get through to see if this person is right for you. How do you know? You're going to wait around for 2 years, 3 years when you could ask a question? And now you done went through some things you shouldn't have went through. When, if you start in the beginning phases, asking questions, hard ones, easy ones, fun ones, to get to know them so that you know if you even want them in your life. And especially for women, so that you can naturally submit to a man. It doesn't mean he controls you. It means that he is the leader of the household, or however you phrase it, but that you're able to listen so that he can lead.
Yeah, and I totally agree with your definition. And it's like, to me, submission is communication. Can we communicate each other? Can we agree to disagree? Can we not disrespect each other in public? You know how you say, because clearly at that point, if I got to disrespect you, I'm using this as an example. If I have to disrespect you in public, if I got to cuss you, if I got to raise my voice and we in public and vice versa, then what that tells me is that we're not submitted to each other. Because if we were submitted to each other, then I would respect your space, you would respect me, we would respect that we have to converse together and do those things. And what I just did, Curtis had a whole lot to say, and and what I did is I sent him a link and I asked him if he wants to come on onto the panel. I would definitely welcome him so he can explain all of this stuff that he's talking about, because clearly, because I'm definitely a verbal person. But he said, I'm sorry, a lot, not all or most, that have more education believe they are automatically smarter than men. My issue has been, since I am educated and an independent reader, I cannot only hold my own in most conversations. However, when I do, those same sisters want to call me arrogant or sassy. I can understand that, but I also think it's the way we pose the conversation as the way, because sometimes we could be saying things thinking that we are, how can I say this and not sound arrogant myself? We can say it in a manner that is arrogant. Like, you know, like if we talk politics and I'll say something like, man, these folks acting like they're good and crazy. Well, if you had been paying attention to the last race and what they was doing the last time, then you wouldn't have that. I'm like, Where did this conversation? How did this conversation go this left that fast? Whereas it's a different way to say it, and I think a lot of times we come off as being arrogant because we don't think before we speak. We just say stuff. We don't think about the tone, and that's one thing I always say. I would rather you talk to me than text me, because sometimes you can misinterpret the tone or the intention. Like, I know sometimes I can be sarcastic, so sometimes sarcasm comes off as arrogant and sassy, but I can't tell that, especially if the other person's personality, they don't interpret sarcasm very well. I'm gonna throw that on back over there to y'all.
Okay. I'm going to try to I'm going to try to tackle what Curtis said from a man's perspective, and if I'm wrong, call me out on it. I equate what Curtis is talking about to the same thing that women have a problem with when it comes to a man defining himself by the material things that he has. Because men who lead with, I make this much money, I drive this kind of car, I only wear this type of cologne, and you lead with that. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with making a lot of money or driving a nice car or dressing a certain way. But if you lead with that and only those things, by using just those things to define you, I would imagine from a woman's perspective, that can be a bit of a turnoff, right? So
it depends on what type of woman you're talking to, but yes.
Okay, but like I said, I'm speaking in a very general sense, right?
Okay.
So in that same regard, what that type of man looks like, or I'm sorry, that type of man that y'all see, for a man, what type of woman that looks like is somebody that they don't care about what they've learned. They don't care about what that education has taught them. They just lead with I have 3 degrees. I have a doctorate's degree. So now everything becomes your professional opinion, and everybody else's is wrong because I have this degree. Or just because, you have this education, that you like I said, your perspective and your opinion, regardless of anybody else's life experience, is wrong just because you have this education. So any type of so I'm pretty sure where Curtis is coming from is, if you are a woman that leads with your education, and not just the fact that, I'm sorry, not the education, the degree or the actual physical accolades, i.e. the materialism, you don't want to hear anything anybody else has to say. So I'm going to assume what Curtis is talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, Curtis, is, okay, well, you know what? I'm also educated. I also have an opinion about this. And now that we're having a conversation about it in a dialogue, because I'm talking, or, you're talking to a woman that only looks at her degrees as these just tangible things. Oh, well, you know what? Because I'm getting pushback, you sassy. So I'm going to assume that's what he's talking about. And like I said, in that regard, the female, like the man that just kind of shows you his Rolex and just shows you all of these things and leads with what his material stuff is. The female equivalent of that is the person that has a job, or this job and this education, and she only leads with that. And I'm like, that's all she does, and it becomes her personality.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that, because I've seen peers, not necessarily my friends, but I've seen peers who their degrees define how much of a quote unquote boss that equates to in their world. Whereas, man, you really don't have the good sense God gave you. And that's okay, because college just says that you completed a thing and you can stay on task and you can get to the end. And now you got the paper to prove that you could finish that task. But, having good sense, I think I'm going to say it this way. As a woman, sometimes we're trying to prove ourselves, to make ourselves worthy. of whoever we're talking to. Maybe we want to seem like we're better than, or maybe we want to just be a part of, because now we're in a room full of people that have the same degrees, but oh, I've done these things. When in fact, I'll go back to the little healing thing I talked about. If you heal yourself, you understand where you've come from and who you are, and you don't have to throw those things in people's faces. I know I don't even, anybody ask me what I do, I'm in customer service. Because I'm in customer service all across my businesses. That's what I'm doing, is trying to serve these customers to keep the money coming in. That's period.
And I say I'm in education because technically I am. But then let's go ahead. Because I said that for a reason. You may say that you're in customer service. I say that I am in education. But then when they find out what you really do on the backside, like, then it's like that conversation also changes. Like, I didn't know you knew them. I didn't know you did this. How did you do this? And then why? Then they feel it's like you're not showing up as an avatar. You're actually showing up as your real self. But then when that other stuff shows up, how do you handle that?
So for me, it doesn't show up because I don't show what I learned, especially having the construction company, being a general contractor, working with men every day. Other men don't like that so much. So I don't ever mention it. If they ask, or I'm going to come by the job site, okay, you're going to get to see me in my dirty clothes and shoes and stuff. And you may hear them call me boss. Mm-hmm. Then we might have to talk about it. But no, they just call all the women that. They like to do that. And then I move on because I know it's going to be a problem because I'm here literally sweating balls all day with other men. Mm-hmm. And that's not okay. So I just don't mention it. Even with the club that I run, mm-hmm. That's a male driven industry as well. So you have to get to know me to know when I'm at work, I'm at work. I don't think nothing about the people, or trying to get with somebody or any of that. I'm trying to get the thing done in customer service fashion and make it right. So, I think it's just hard. We have to understand, and I don't know. I don't even know what to say because in my mind, I shouldn't have to lie about it, but I do.
And I think that's really where I am. And as women, sometimes, I hear this a lot because I have, you've been told this, you got to dumb yourself down. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why am I got to dumb myself down? I think I'm pretty smart. I think that should be a plus. But y'all, Curtis is in the room. We're gonna go ahead and add him to the stage. Y'all can go ahead and continue to talk.
And I think too, when we think about dumbing ourselves down, hey Curtis, when we think about dumbing ourselves down, it's just, man, that's almost like being back in corporate America. And that's a little bit too much for my brain to take on because I had to code switch. I had to code switch at work. And when I started my businesses and I didn't have to do that no more, that's exciting. But I also now feel like, well, most men are not going to be okay with the fact that I work with men on two different spectrums quite a bit. Not that I'm going to cheat, just the mere fact that there's some other men around. So, what do I do? Customer service.
Understood. Eric, did you have something to add on to that before we circle back to Curtis and then to let him introduce himself?
No. I've been talking plenty. I'm like, I yield my time.
Well, everybody, we want to go ahead and welcome up Mr. Curtis Tate. I know I've been knowing him for a while. RL has been knowing him for a while. In fact, I think I met him through her. So, we're gonna just come on, tell everybody who you are and what you do, and then we're gonna jump right back into the answer that you had about the conversation piece. Let's go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Curtis Tate. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, originally from New Orleans. What else? I'm a father. My daughter is 23 years old. And I work with special needs kids, preferably children that are on the spectrum. So the one thing I learned about working with children on the spectrum, they got an excuse. We don't. We could be better. Straight. Next thing I want to say is that the viewpoints of Curtis Tate are not a reflection on nobody else on this panel today.
That means this gonna go left.
You know,
Real left.
the gentleman. I've been listening to the gentleman, and I like what he has to say. Deborah, you know, I always respect what she says. RL, you know, me and RL, we still talk. She's still checking on me. I checking on her, and she's right about that fighting thing. I don't know if she told you, but she played with them things. She played with them guns. So, you know, she ain't playing, gentlemen.
Now look, you gonna scare them all off.
It was 1 or 2 in the pipeline. They's gone now, baby. They's gone.
I say I teach women how to defend themselves in case somebody attacks. That's all I say.
I'm getting ready to take those classes too. Okay, anyway, come on, Curtis. Go ahead. You was talking about a lot when we were talking about the education piece, why some men back away because they'll say that, oh, you too smart, so this is why I can't be with you, or you doing too many things and I can't. So you had a comment about that, and for me, you already know if it's too much going on, I just want you to come on and talk to me because I'm gonna keep going back and forth, ask you questions. So go ahead and explain that to you. And this must be your cousin because she said it runs in the family.
That's my aunt.
That's your what?
My aunt.
Hey, auntie. All right, and we got one other comment. Some women today place high value on their education and material success when they meet a man with similar achievements. That they may feel the need to assert control, and when he speaks his mind, they struggle to respect his perspective. I believe this is what Curtis experienced. Okay, so Curtis, this goes right back to you.
So, first off, you know, the general consensus of what was being said is absolutely true. There are a lot of men that are intimidated by sisters that have a certain amount of education, a certain amount of income, resources, and that just goes back to the archaic mindset that men have been taught historically in the African American community. So we gotta acknowledge that first. You know,
absolutely.
Going forth from that point, I would like to say is that, you know, also in that historical context, as being an African-American male child that, you know, my parents are from rural Mississippi. Matter of fact, this is how rural Mississippi that my mother is from. My mother grew up on a farm with an outhouse that was less than 1 mile from where Emmett Till was pulled out of the Tallahassee River.
Wow.
So that's how rural that my mother and father was from. So, you know, since I had this, you know, love and respect for my mother, because your mother is the first teacher, some of the stuff I didn't understand why my daddy could do certain things, why my uncle was doing certain things and my mother couldn't do it. So, you know, me growing and me becoming a man and coming in myself, you know, some of those ways that I might have to learn historically from men in our community, I had to baffle it and struggle with myself. And at 50 years old, I'm still unlearning a whole lot of those things. So, you know, trust and believe, sisters, I'm with y'all when I hear some of the issues that y'all bring up. But I would also like to add, you know, a lot of times when you meet some sisters, not all, not many, not most, but I've had enough of those instances in order to make this point. You know, they automatically think that, that you're unintelligent. They look at me, I'm 6'7". They figured if I did went to school, I probably went on a basketball scholarship. If I got a degree, I got a degree in physical education. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I go through that so many times. You know, Curtis, did you go to college? Yes, I did go to college. Did you graduate? Yes, I did graduate. Oh, really? What did you finish in? Physical education? No, I got a degree in political science. Oh, well, you know, that's a liberal arts degree. I go through it all the time. So, you know, then by me also being an independent reader. So my whole thing is I love intelligent women. I love cocky women. I love aggressive women. I love assertive women. I'm attracted to those type of women. But just because I'm attracted to it, I'm still going to stand in my masculine frame, and I'm still going to challenge your opinion. When I challenge their opinion, it's not me trying to downsize or not recognize, what they had to do to get to that level. Because trust and believe, a lot of my female friends are college educated. They're bankers, they're lawyers, they're doctors. And, I hear about the struggles that they have in the workplace trying to prove themselves. I was even at a conference once, and I was in there and I was talking to some Caucasian ladies, and they referred to my supervisor, who's an African American, by her first name. And I correct them. I say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mean doctor?" Mm-hmm. So I'm always going to give that respect, but I also respect myself. So if you're saying something I don't agree with, and I'm going to challenge you. But when I challenge you, I'm going to challenge you with empirical data, evidence-based practices. And sometimes when you do that, it's kind of like you hitting some of these sisters with kryptonite, which is cool because we all meet people that are more intelligent than us. We should strive to be in those rooms. Mm-hmm. So then when I meet those people, I get it all. I'm a chauvinist, I'm narcissistic. What else? Sociopath, psychopath. One sister about a week ago on the Facebook post, she got me real good. She called me a sassy Sasquatch. Oh. I thought I had to laugh. I had to laugh at that one.
Wow.
But even with that being said, when I come back, I have had to learn that I can't come back with that venom, because I am a man. I could take somebody calling me something like that, but I understand that I can't come back at a sister with that same venom, because first off, she is my sister. So what I'm trying to say is that, all the time, it's not all the time that men are intimidated because of a woman's educational level or the level of resources and stuff like that. Sometimes that's what it is, but that's not all the story. So I think now, especially if you're dealing in my age range, I just turned 50. So I've heard all the general stuff. So I think it's time now that we need to get really to the meat and potatoes, down to the lean meat. And we also got to understand that, first off, there's something that men and women are before they're men and women. We're human beings. We're human beings. We're God's children, first off. So one thing I personally really strive to, when I encounter a sister that may exhibit some of those type of things, I try to find the humanity in her, and I try to connect with the humanity in her. And if I cannot connect with the humanity in her, hey, it's no thing. We just can't talk. I ain't gotta knock over no China leaving out the room. I gotta call all kind of names, and I think just in general, I personally would like for us to learn how to agree to disagree and be respectful as brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I think that's such a hard task in our community. Yeah. Ego on both sides. And so why? There's a lot of things I see we do that I say, oh no, that goes back to slavery when they was doing so and so. So it's embedded in the DNA type of thing. But we got to want to be better. Most of us feel like where we are is the best, and this is you deal with it type situation, when no, you're hurting somebody in the instance of you talking down to them like that. Because baby, she had to call me a Sasquatch. We about to be in the Facebook reporting. Hey.
And I probably
that was funny though. That was
funny.
So what she did. So excuse me real quick. That what she did was when we were going back and forth, and I was getting to her, right? And I always know when I'm getting to somebody, and I'm not, to get my point across, not trying to be combative, just to get my point across. the first thing people always going to do is they're going to go to your Facebook page and find something.
Mm-hmm.
So she probably saw I was tall. She probably saw that I like to dress. And she was like, oh, I'm going to, and look, she had an emoji in everything. It was hilarious.
Okay. And
I'm
I
not
don't know
going
what
to say
to
nothing else.
But you know what? That also goes to what we were saying is that sometimes we all can be arrogant. We all can be cocky. But it's like, where do we draw that line? Because the intelligence value of conversations has to be there. We have to be able to have those conversations and being okay with not being the smartest person in the room, because we can't see growth even as a person, whether it's your personal life, your business life, or whatever. You can't be the smartest person in the room. And I think that's where we're missing the boat, even with some of the things that I've been seeing. And I normally I'm not on social media for relationship stuff. That's not really, what I ever went there for. But it's like these conversations that I've been seeing is like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And y'all, I hate to say this, but we have been on here longer than we had anticipated. And I think we need to get the four of us back together and do a part 2 to this, because we still did not talk about, is age nothing but a number in dating? Do you date somebody 10 years, 5 years older or younger? What does that look like? Or like me, I went on a date with somebody in their 60s, and in my mind, that's old, but technically you ain't but 5 or 6 years older than me. So that was kind of interesting. Yeah, y'all, that messed me up, and I'm
not doing it again.
I promise you, that's a whole different show. Yeah. Yeah. So, that's a whole different show. So, but so, what does that really look like for us? Because, and then when you do start talking about the education, somebody said, I like this. Diana Green said we need a part 2, 3, and 4, please. Can we just work on the part 2?
I don't know. Like, look, we might do 2, and it was like, nah, we don't need no 3.
Right.
You gotta do each one as they come.
Yeah, exactly. But I definitely know we need a part 2 to this, because we were really on longer than we expected, and we did pull Curtis in, and I want Curtis to be prepared to be our 4th person, because I really would like to see these conversations grow, because honestly, we're representing age groups and different demographics that really aren't talking. We really aren't talking about what we're really going through in a, how can I say this? I'm not gonna say professional. What's the word that I'm looking for? Not politically correct, but being open and honest in where we are and what we've experienced. Was that good?
Yeah,
I'll go with transparency. If you
Okay,
want to sum it down to one word.
Yeah.
This girl said, I don't want nothing old but money. But then what is old? What is old? Because age to me does not mean the same thing, because I've met some people in their 20s and 30s and they are old. Like, they old for real. Their mindset is old. Everything is old. So I don't know if age has anything to do with that. But that's another topic for a different show. But guys, are y'all open? Curtis and Eric, y'all open to come back and checking this thing out and doing another show?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm appreciative that you had me, and I'm more than happy to come back as many times as you're willing to invite me.
All right, I like it. What you thinking, RL?
I'm good. I'm good. As long as the conversation's good, and we read, like Eric said, being transparent.
Right.
Because
Ronnie said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Very engaging discussion. My young adult daughter had a lot to say during this podcast, because her generation is going through some similar things discussed. Looking forward to another one. Okay, so you tell your young adult daughter to make sure she may be looking, because we want to hear from them too. Because I teach what I teach. and I teach probably in her age group. Y'all, I'm confused at some of the stuff that they doing and some of the stuff that they say.
I told you what I heard they doing. The whole eating process is not. It's
interesting. It's interesting. But y'all, this has definitely been amazing. It has helped me. It's opened my eyes to some things, and I'm just excited that you guys are that we're having the conversation and having transparency about the conversation with the conversation. And I want us to make sure that we do plan for the next one. Would anybody like to give some closing advice until the next show?
Stay safe.
I want to double piggyback off what RL said a while ago. Just heal. You know what that looks like. If you believe in a higher power, pray on it. If you don't, try to be as spiritual as you can, and just always look inside yourself. And one of the philosophies I've always had is I strive to be better than the person I was yesterday. So continue to try and grow. And I'm gonna just close this on a quote that Muhammad Ali said. If a man is the same person after 10 years, he wasted 10 years of his life. So constantly strive to be better. Trust me, you're not perfect. No, none of us are. So you always have room for improvement. Right.
Absolutely.
Agreed. Very good.
Curtis, you got anything you want to close out with?
Oh yes, thank you. And this is for the ladies. Since we talk about the height thing. Look, first off, I'm 6'7", so I get the betterment of that conversation. But I'm gonna tell you, like height, I get what it psychologically mean. It looks like he's a protector. He looks like his earning potential is more. It looks like he's healthy. I get that part. If you find somebody 5'8", 5'9", be cool. Because I'm gonna tell you, I've been around tall guys my whole life. I've been around professional athletes. I've been around business owners and stuff that's tall. I love my brothers, my tall brothers, but I'm here to tell you, it might not be the best for you. And that's coming from a guy that's 6'7". I would tell my daughter the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, guys, we love y'all to life. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Y'all have a great one. Make sure that you like and share and subscribe to what? Go ahead, RL.
I thought we was waving. My bad.
No, I said I got something. Everybody go get Deborah's book, Church Girl After Dark. It is a love story unlike no other.
Y'all, it's fire. If I got to say so myself, y'all, pre-orders are out. Since you brought it up, I played the trailer earlier. Y'all, I'm so excited about the trailer. I'm so excited about the book because it did, like I was sharing with them earlier, it took me completely out of my comfort zone because I don't normally talk like that. And I don't normally put things in writing. And a little sassy, a little sexy, a little sizzle. But a lot of times, and I'm just going to give this brief little synopsis because a lot of times we put women that are religious or church girls, we put them in a box. We don't look at the humanity of them. We don't look at that they are women and they are women. Just because they might say praise the Lord or even preach or teach or operate in any of the fivefold ministry does not mean that they're not still a woman. So that's kind of like what we're going to be dealing with in the book, but not in the way you're expecting. So go ahead. That link is right there. And since you said it, I'm going to have to play the trailer again to end us out. I wasn't going to play the trailer anymore, but since you did,
y'all worked hard and congratulations.
Y'all just don't even know. I worked so hard on this book. Y'all, and it's a real novel too. So you're not gonna be like, wait a minute, what are the rest of the pages? No, it's really a nice size novel. Well, all right, guys, we love you to life, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're gonna check y'all back out. Make sure that you are paying attention because we're gonna let you know when part 2 is gonna air.
She stands before them with grace, with strength, with unwavering faith. A pastor, a leader, a woman called to guide others through the light. But when the doors close and the night falls, she carries more than they will ever know. Every calling has a cost. Every strength, a shadow. She is not broken. She is not weak. She is human, navigating faith, desire, and truth. Because power doesn't come without struggle, and grace doesn't come without fire. Church Girl After Dark. A story of faith and the strength to face what lies beneath.